Aloha, everyone, and welcome to our August 2019 CEO report. This is really exciting because Heart Centered Service is a podcast for freelancers, but this month, Fran and I decided to slow down because before August, we were recording Facebook Lives every week, but we decided to eliminate those weekly Facebook Lives from our weekly routine, and instead put that time towards collaborating with each other to really up-level this podcast. And so I am so excited to say that stepping back has really helped us. So today we're going to talk about how we just today, well, yesterday, revisited our brand values, our brand messaging. A few weeks ago, really we sat down and we listed our brand values, and yeah, we've accomplished a lot this month, Fran.
Yeah, I feel like this has been our most productive month, and it was a really good decision to take out the Facebook Lives because even though it was great to connect with the community and create more content, I feel like every time we were meeting, it was just to make more content, and we were very quickly getting to a point where we were just kind of on a hamster wheel, like episode live stream. But now this month, every time when we got on with each other, we would have co-working times every Monday, and we would be able to work on the project like face to face over video. And yeah, like you said, like we started going over our brand stuff like just yesterday, but I feel like it's been kind of like this whole month it's been coming. We've been nailing down like core values that we share together, and we've done a really great job with being more active on social media. Like it's been a really, really productive month, and I'm really proud of like everything that we have accomplished. And yeah, so I guess the first thing that we wanted to do on the CEO report, first of all, this is going to be a different sort of format than any other CEO report because, first of all, Krista made this really boss spreadsheet, and you're going to be seeing it a little bit later in the show. Those of you who are actually watching on Facebook, if you are listening to the podcast, then you should like go look for the Facebook video in our group because it's like the most epic spreadsheet I've ever seen. But first, we're going to start by going over some of the things that we have been discussing around our branding. So like our values, our mission, our vision, and our why, and the why behind the why. So we're going to start with the discussion on that. So let's get started. Are
Yeah,
you ready, Krista?
I am super ready. So yesterday, while we were brainstorming, and kind of just like trying to figure out, okay, what is a big pain point for our listener? And one of the big pain points that you pinned down was that, oh yeah, well, we grew up like having to kind of answer and shape our lives to society's priorities and what other people tell us is important. But for both of us, freelancing has been an avenue where we are exploring what's important to us. And so we created this brand philosophy for Heart Centered Service, which is to act from a place of your priority and not what society wants your priority to be. And this is big when it comes to freelancing because you're facing yourself a lot, and you have to make a lot of decisions like, should I make this investment? Should I offer this service? How do I deal with this client? You're making decisions and hard decisions every day, and you don't always have a team or a supervisor to seek to. So yeah, Fran, yeah, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like we've said this before, like entrepreneurship forces you to become the best version of yourself. And I think one of the main ways that it does that is like when you have like a regular job and stuff, it's like the company has its own mission and has its own tasks for you to do. And like you don't make a whole lot of decisions there. But when you start a business, like you are responsible for everything. You're responsible for your own income, you're responsible for a lot of like the logistical stuff, but you're also responsible for crafting a vision for your life and crafting a vision for your career, and then taking all of those steps to fulfill it. And I think one of the biggest roadblocks that I see people running into is that like everybody has their own ideas of what our priorities should be. Everyone has their own like your parents, your teachers, your family, like whoever, your friends, they all have their ideas of what's important, and they kind of expect you to follow along. We live in a very conforming society, and you have to break away from that when you become an entrepreneur. Otherwise, like you because you have to be brave enough to take that different path in life. And before you can do that, you have to learn how to hear your own inner voice, which can be really, really hard, because it's more often than not, it's drowned out by everything else. So yeah, I think we really believe that that's the most important task as an entrepreneur, is to start listening to that inner voice and that inner guidance. And our podcast is kind of centered around guiding our listeners towards that. So that's become one of the cores of our brand now.
Yeah, so epic. And it makes me really excited. It really lights me up, because a lot of the people who we talk to about the podcast, they're perfectionists, and so they have these conversations with their inner voice, but it's like their inner voice telling them they're not good enough. And so hopefully through our content, we'll be able to help our listeners kind of heal that perfectionism in some way. But yeah, so the vision that we're kind of creating for heart-centered service is to create a space that challenges what society tells us is important. And we want to empower our listeners and our community to define their own priorities. So stop chasing perfection, stop chasing what everyone else wants of you, and to really like be in tune and connect with your inner voice as you create.
Yeah, and like what you were saying about the perfectionism side of things is that like that's not your true inner voice. Like we've got like that inner knowing, and then on top of that there's like this layer of, for lack of a better term, like bullshit of like you're not good enough because of this, or like you're not going to achieve this because of this, like a bunch of stories that you're just telling yourself. So you have to strip all of that stuff away, and then you find your core, like your heart, your purpose, what you're truly supposed to be in this life. And it's hard to get to that, but it's so, so important as an entrepreneur, as a freelancer, as anybody who wants to make something meaningful out of their lives. Like it's so important to get to that little core inner voice and inner guidance.
Oh, absolutely. And so for anyone who's listening who kind of wants to write their own brand vision, what we did was the difference that we, I guess, like made for brand vision versus mission is vision is your long-term or the why. And so Fran, for example, you put the why, let's see, you said why, like why do we want to connect with our inner voice? And you said everyone and their mother wants to tell us what should be important and what we shouldn't do, and we're taught not to listen to, or we're taught not to value our own inner voice. And this can be harmful to entrepreneurs, because that path of, correct me if I'm wrong, that path of listening to or not listening to our own inner voice. Wait, sorry, do you see what I see? This can be particularly harmful to entrepreneurs because this path requires you hold vision for your business and your life.
Oh, sorry. I think the phrasing is a little bit confusing. That I wrote that at like 7 o'clock in the morning. What I was trying to say is like everyone's got an idea of like how you should be living your life. But entrepreneurship requires you to craft your own vision for your life and kind of like ignore all the other voices, and like just listen to yourself.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I was saying. And I think that's why this is our mission, because we don't want to just be another podcast that's like, this is how you like make all this money, and like this is how you should be running your business. Like, we don't want to be up here telling you guys like this is how you should be living your life and this is how you should be doing this. We want to be creating empowering content, and like we want to educate, like we want to like share our knowledge and our experiences, but we always want to come from that place of empowerment instead of like being up here and like telling you what to do, because there's enough of that, and that's the very opposite of what you should be exposing yourself to as an entrepreneur. You've got plenty of people who are like standing on a mountain being like, this is what you do, and that's not us.
Yes, totally. I'm so excited for where we're going to take our podcast with this. And yeah, I'm just so excited. I basically, so I'm on the opposite side of the world from Fran right now. And I started brainstorming after she went to bed. And I've basically been sitting here excited for her to wake up for 8 hours.
There was one of us working on this project 24/7. So like, it's just a game of waiting for the other person to wake up, because we're excited. We get so excited about all of our ideas and about this project and how we can continue to expand it. So yeah, this is awesome. And I feel like we're like so centered and so aligned right now, which is really exciting. Because now we can come from that place and empower other people to be centered and aligned as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so much fun because I feel like experiencing down days and really trying to like figure out how I want my freelance business to work around like my like sometimes unstable mental health is really, it's like really helped me spend the summer thinking about these big things and big topics in relation to me. And so yeah, I don't know, like if you're listening, I hope this helps you to really like assess your situation and be empowered to build your business around you.
Yeah, totally. So true. I think a lot of our experiences this month kind of like led us to like work to center ourselves, and like that goes to show like your path and your past and your experiences, they're so unique and they're so special, and they make you who you are, and that's why like you as a business owner, you're so special and nobody else can do things the way that you do. Nobody else can build your business or be the same way that you can. And yeah, so.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we also earlier this month, during one of our co-working sessions, we honed in on our values. So heart-centered service is going to be built or grown upon 5 different values. And what we're doing with these values is underneath the values, we kind of listed message themes so that when we're writing content for our social media, when we're writing an episode outline, we can go back to our values and make sure that we're always connected to the reason why we're here. And we're just also staying consistent with our messaging, because you guys are listening for a reason. You're attracted to us or whatever for a reason. And so by listing our values, especially since we're like two different people, it helps us create a consistent experience, which is really important for branding. So those 5 values are purpose. So defining those priorities so you can do work that brings you purpose and you can feel like you're making a positive impact on yourself and thus the world. Boundaries, like we talk a lot about establishing boundaries and being in tune with what you want. Community and or connection. So again, defining what's important to you so you can seek out a community where you feel seen and feel heard. it's really interesting because like every value I'm noticing is like it relates to like being in touch with your inner voice and like connecting with your own priorities. That's cool. Equality or opportunity, to stop playing small because of what society tells you to prioritize, and to not let your past or your circumstances hold you back from opportunity. And then finally, impact, because when someone is finally in tune with themselves and their priorities, they can really make the positive impact that they want on the world. And I relate this to myself because I know that on my best days, when I am fully present, I can give so much more. I can be a better human being. I am so much more in control of my thoughts. If I have a negative thought on a really good day, I'm able to like talk to myself, versus when I'm drained and not present, it just doesn't happen. Like it just doesn't. And so this idea that when we are connecting with ourselves, and really being true to ourselves, that lifts us up and we can make that impact, and really start building this business where you feel like you're making a difference in the world.
Yeah, yep. So those are our main values. And like Krista just said, every single one of them goes back to the core of being in connection with your inner voice. So obviously purpose, like your inner voice will tell like is your purpose, which is like the way that you're supposed to be in this world. Boundaries, when you're connected with your inner voice, when you're connected with what's important to you and your priorities, then you're able to make your yes sacred, and you're able to not your true inner voice will never tell you to like overcommit yourself or to say yes out of obligation. Community and connection. One of our big missions is to actually build a community that like fosters this authenticity, but then also just empowering people to always seek out situations where I love how Brené Brown puts it, where they belong rather than where they fit in. And this goes with like the way you build your business. Like we want you to build a business that you feel like you can truly show up to authentically, and you don't feel like you have to change anything about yourself in order to like be in your business and to be with your clients and stuff. Equality and opportunity. This one can be like, this is a tough one because like everyone comes from different circumstances. Everybody has different beliefs about what they think they were capable of or not. The truth is that we all have the same abilities and the same opportunities at our core. Just we've all lived very different lives. So sometimes some of us have to strip back a few more layers before we kind of recognize that like true potential that like lives in our center. And impact, like I think about the service part of heart-centered service, like your inner self, your inner voice and your inner, like your centered place, like that's where you're going to really be able to show up from a place of service. I've had so many jobs where like Krista said, I felt drained and I felt like not present. I felt like I didn't do well in those jobs because I was like, I just wasn't into what I was doing. I really believe that like when there is no such thing as like laziness. Like I think that human beings are just like naturally really driven creatures. Like, I mean, look, like like we were little monkeys like in East Africa and then we like colonized the entire world. Like humans are driven. And if you ever feel like lazy or like not, or like you're not doing well in your job or like, underachieving, like it's because you're not centered in your purpose. You're not aligned properly. So yeah, that's all of our values go back to just connecting with your inner voice and connecting with your inner authority. And yeah, I'm excited to move forward from this place. I feel like really putting this to words, like we did this, that's been one of our main achievements this month, is just really like sitting down and putting to words all the stuff that we've been like trying to get at since the beginning.
Yeah, I'm so proud of us. I am so proud of us and really excited to move forward with the podcast and just everything. It's really cool that I feel every time it just feels like we're really moving in the right direction and narrowing our focus, honing in on our messaging, and thus getting that much closer to building like our dream community.
Yeah, I feel like every month we get a little bit closer. And I love doing these CEO reports because it's hard to like see the progress that you're making until you actually sit down and see it, you know? Like it's, I feel like if we weren't doing these monthly things, then I would feel like nothing's changing because change happens gradually. But then like you sit down and you're like, oh wait, like the podcast grew like this much percent and like this happened and this happened. That's why checking in
Yes.
is so important.
Yes, I really felt that this month, and I'm glad that we did it since month one, because I remember month one I was like, oh, okay, like these are just numbers. It didn't really mean that much to me, but actually like being able to compare our growth this month to month one, it's really amazing. And so it really goes to show that you should be tracking everything, even when you may not feel like super confident in what you're doing, because it is with this data, whether you like it or not, that you can make informed decisions and really up level what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and the number part, which we're going to dive into the numbers in just a second now. This is the part that scares everyone. I think we say this like every month. Like this is the part that can feel really intimidating because you don't feel like the numbers are big enough, and like you're afraid to face them. Like it's almost like, yeah, like you're afraid to face them because then you're gonna like see things about your business that you don't really want to see. Um, but it's so important to kind of take that power back and look at your stats without with like a detached, loving perspective, and seeing the progress that you're making, and focusing on what's good. And yeah, just like it's just so important to check in like this every month. So yeah,
Totally.
without further ado, though,
Yeah.
Krista made this incredible spreadsheet, and she's going to share her screen. So those of you who are watching on Facebook, you can see it. If you're listening to the podcast, we are now on YouTube, so this is going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be in our Facebook group. So you should definitely come check out this podcast, this spreadsheet that Krista has worked really hard on, and that's going to completely change the way we do CEO reports in the future. So I'm going to let Krista lead this next part.
Awesome. Yeah. So this is our like master analytics spreadsheet. And so tab one is just, it's just like all of our episodes. And I like to make things easy. So I tried to link to like our Google Drive folder and the episode URL whenever we can. So like also our Trello is set up so that our like episode cards also link to the Google Drive folder, any relevant documents. So the next, I guess the next data that we're going to go into is our listens for August. So we have total downloads. And so these downloads don't include our CEO reports. It's just not something that's a priority for me to track, but we'll get to that later. So these are total downloads. And then the next column is total plays this month. And so we can see from this spreadsheet that we can see like how many plays each episode gets per month. And this is pretty important for us because Anchor doesn't tell us this data. So we just created the spreadsheet so that we could find out this data in a very easy way. Like all we have to do really is enter the total downloads, and then it just like compares each episode download to the previous month. So yeah, it's pretty, for me, it's a really fun task. So
Yeah, because Anchor gives you all-time data. So it would be like, yeah, this episode has been downloaded 40 times, but that's like since you watched the podcast. So we made it automatically subtract so that you can see like what the stats are for the individual month. So like this month, the second episode was downloaded 14 times this month for a total of 40 downloads.
yeah. And then you can also see based on the total downloads and not including our CEO reports, we had 216 other episode listens. So yay, that's pretty exciting.
Which is an increase from last month.
Yeah, and so this column kind of like goes over all of those numbers. So these are Anchor total downloads with our CEO report as well. So for the month of August, we had 543 total downloads, and so actually we grew almost 50%, which is really cool. So we almost doubled our total downloads for August. And same thing for total downloads without CEO reports. It saw just pretty much the same amount of growth, like almost 50%. So this is really cool because we're like doubling. And yeah, I just think I'm really amazing. I'm super proud of us. Like we had we had 255 listens in August. So like high five us. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's really, that feels really big to me. I like that.
Yeah. And then, okay. I see. So plays this month were 216, not including CEO reports. And so that was a 31% increase compared to the month previous. Like because so in July we had 150 plays for that month. But so I'm really excited to see like this growth because like, so it means in August, not like total over time, but in August, we had 216 downloads, not including our CEO reports. So that's like amazing. I don't know how many that would be per day, but I'm super, super proud of us. And then our website page views, I was really surprised when I saw this, but we have 126 website page views, and I'm not doing any like website promotion. I don't think you are. So that's pretty cool. I also saw when I was looking through our analytics, and we had some traffic from Google search. So that means that we're like somewhere in the Google bot atmosphere. So that means that like, yeah, our show notes or something is working to show up on Google search, which is amazing. Our Instagram, I think in July, at the beginning of August, we had a goal of 100 followers on Instagram. I'm not really sure. I might just be making that up.
Yeah, because then you
Yeah,
can
yes.
see the business stats when you get to 100.
Yeah. And then so we didn't make that. We we have 94 followers on Instagram. We still have a 12 email subscribers who, one, I haven't emailed, and two, like I know there's so much that we can do in order to improve our mailing list, but it's like it hasn't been on my priority list, but like maybe it will be on my priority list. And then our total like audience countries, we're reaching people from 20 countries, and our estimated audience size, which is just like Anchor total downloads divided by like listens or episodes that we have. So we're 28 for the month of August. And so what's really cool here is we can set goals for ourselves for September, like how many Anchor downloads we want, how many total downloads we want, Instagram followers. Like we can see we grew by 15 in August and 13 in July. And 66 in, yeah. Okay, so we can see that we grew 13 in July and 15 in August. So we can set like an Instagram goal based on that. We can decide if we want to prioritize growing our mailing list. Yeah, so should we set some goals live?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
So I think, well, okay, so what was popping up right first of all was email list stuff. And I don't know if I mean, Kristen, you might disagree with me on this, but I don't know if we're yet at a point where we are super prioritizing our email list, because I don't have any like specific goals or ideas for like what we would use an email list for. I don't know. I feel like for next month, like I really want to continue with the Instagram stuff because, we almost got to our goal for Instagram, and it has been really awesome. Like as we've been, being more active on there. We've gotten a lot more engagement. So I think that the focus should like continue to be on our Instagram, growing our Instagram page, and then maybe in the future we can like think about mailing lists. But it's kind of like the marketing levels that we talk about in our marketing for freelancers series. Like the email list is like the fifth level. It's like the last one, and you build it upon like a social media following or like a podcast following. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because I'm not that excited about like about writing to or okay, no, let me reframe that. I'm not that excited about like I do hold high standards for myself. So if I'm going to put my time into something, I'm going to put my time into something. And I'm such like a branding and design thinker that I would want our mailing list to be like super on brand. I would just like really want to do it well. And yeah, it's not a priority for me right now. So I think it's good that we just narrow our focus into Instagram. So what should we shoot for? Should we shoot for like 125 followers? And oh, another thing that's really interesting is I noticed for some reason like our Instagram stories were getting a lot of views, or like, and on Work With Me Wednesday, I noticed we were getting a lot more views than usual, which is really cool.
I noticed that too, and that kind of told me that the people that we have following us are actually engaged in our content.
Yeah.
Which is a really good sign. And so it looks like for the past 2 months we've stayed at 16% growth. Like we've gone up 16%, we went up another 16%. So maybe do you want to shoot for like a 20% growth? I don't even know how to calculate that.
Yeah. So 115 is 120. So like 118.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so 118. That's going to be our goal.
I like that number. It's a very specific number, but I enjoy it. I like 18. So.
Awesome. And then I don't know, should we have a goal for website page views? Because it's really not something that I am focusing on either.
Yeah.
Should we just?
Yeah, we can. We probably don't have to set a goal for every single area, because then we're just going to get overwhelmed. We could try to aim for, in all of these, we could try to just aim for steady growth, because website page views have gone up. They went 42%. They went up 42% in July, and they went up 43% this month. So maybe just keeping it steady for the areas that we're not super focused on can be a goal. Like, can we just go up another 43% if that's possible?
Let's shoot for 150. Cool. And then website plays. So per month. So maybe we can shoot for something like 250 or 300. 300 would be a 28% growth.
Let's go for 300 because that's we went up 31% this month because
cool.
Like, that's totally achievable.
Yeah, awesome. And then total downloads, we're at 480, and we're releasing we're releasing a lot in September, I think. So everyone's just going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're releasing 5 episodes. So I think we can shoot like pretty big for here.
Yeah, what about like a 75% growth for total downloads?
Ooh, okay. So let's see what that is. 550? Nope. 600? Whoa, 75%. Okay. 700. Okay. I'm like 800. Okay, we should shoot for like 800 or something. Because yeah, we should look at the numbers. That would be 320 listens. Cool. And so that's cool. Oops, and then for Anchor total download, so that includes the CEO report. So we can do like 850 or something between 850 and 900.
Let's do 900. Let's go for it.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So before we talk about how we're going to reach these goals, let's go into the last one. So this is like kind of like a qualitative data where we are taking notes about what we like, kind of like what we think worked, and just it's like our brain dump, so that during future months we can go back, like next month we can go back and be like, oh yeah, so this is what we thought and this is what we wanted to focus on in September. So for August, let's start with this. So our top episodes and why. So our top episodes for August were the first was balancing anxiety and mental health. The second was marketing for freelancers, part 5, email marketing. And the third was stop planning for the perfect day with goal designer Megan Seeley. So why do you think that these were our top episodes, Fran?
That's actually an interesting group. So I'm happy to see that the last episode of the marketing for freelancers series, I'm happy to see that was kind of one of the top ones this month, because that just tells me that people actually did work through the whole series, like actually listened to the whole series, and they were probably like finishing up that because when was it that we even watched all those? Yeah,
these were all, I think, August episodes. So
oh yeah, we released that the first week of August, so that tells me that people listened to the whole series and they got to the end. So the mental health one, and then the interview that we did with Megan Seeley, what those two both had in common was that they were like, what are the words that I'm looking for here? They were both kind of embracing imperfection, like on because like on the mental health one, it was like we were being really honest about our experiences, and we were talking about, we weren't like trying to be anything, we were just like, this is our journey, like we struggle in these areas, and like this is kind of how we've learned to handle it. And then with Megan Seeley's episode, her whole thing is about planning like a rebel, and like doing away with like the perfect day, and like the time blocking, and like this is what productivity should look like. So that's really cool, because like we kind of accidentally like hit our brand core right on the head of like being centered in yourself and being centered in your own priorities. And a big part of that is appearing imperfect to other people and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And so
leaning into vulnerability.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think what was really special about both those episodes is they had like an empowering feel for listeners.
Yeah. Oh, I really like that, how you noticed that our episodes embracing imperfection stood out. And I think that we can really take this into September when we're past our money series, because right now we're recording and releasing episodes for our money series through the rest of September. But then after that, we can really lean into how our audience are clearly resonating with our episodes where we embrace imperfection.
Yeah, definitely. We can continue to lean into that. In the money series, I'm so excited to keep working on that one, because I think a lot of the conditioning that we have around money is what can throw people off of their center. And I think a lot of that involves like embracing the fact that you're imperfect, and like embracing the fact that you're worthy of anything that you want, just despite the fact that you like perceive certain imperfections in yourself. But yeah, then after the money series, we can keep moving into that empowering message of like, like you can be an entrepreneur and do it imperfectly, and that's amazing and beautiful. And
yeah. Okay. So I stopped sharing my screen because we can just go through the rest of these topics. So for Instagram, what did you think about Instagram for August, Fran?
I'm so proud of us on Instagram. I feel like, well, Krista got her iPad, so she was making these amazing graphics for all of our episodes. I've been really diligent about posting in the feed 2 to 3 times a week in writing really good captions for us. And I think that has helped, fuel a lot of growth. We've been really active on Instagram stories. We've been getting a lot of those views. We've been getting a lot of messages and comments from listeners, which that's actually the most exciting part for me, because with social media, like having X amount of followers is like whatever, like it's just a number. But when those followers are engaging with you, it's amazing. Like I love it so much. I love how every time I post in the feed, I actually get a comment from a real person, like not a robot, like a human being who's listening to our content. And that's the biggest part for me, engagement.
That's such a big part. When someone comments on our Instagram and they say, I loved this episode, I like kind of freeze up and I pinch myself like, is this a real comment?
Yeah, and like I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this if you ever tried to grow an Instagram page, because like when we were first starting out, we would post in the feed and then we would get like those robots that were like, way to go, love this, and like it was always really irrelevant. Like I think I posted something really vulnerable once and they were like, good job. And so it's kind of exciting that we have moved past that, and the engagement has gotten real. And I think it's because like we really focused on, like, we do like little things to optimize the post. Like we post under, like, we have the hashtags that we add under it. We try to engage with other pages and stuff, but we're not just focused on like bringing in followers. We're focused on actual connection. And I'm really proud of how we stayed on that and stuck with it.
Yeah, I'm really, really pleased with where we're going, and the fact that we reevaluated our brand core and our vision and our messaging this month. I think it is really going to help us create amazing content. Like we can go back to our messaging doc when we experience something, and we can write an Instagram story or an Instagram caption that like ties into one of our message themes, which is going to be really powerful. And it's going to start, like, the more consistent we are with it, it's going to start really resonating with people for it. And they're going to start recognizing heart-centered service as this space and this podcast where you connect with your inner voice in order to build a freelance business that aligns with you. And just, yeah, I'm so excited for everything that we have lined up.
And the co-working time that we're doing, instead of doing the live stream, we did co-working. That helped me stay accountable with the social media, because for a longest time it was like on my to-do list, but then it just kept getting like moved around and not happening. But because I had like that time where we would sit down and work on the podcast, then I would focus on social media. So that was a big part of it, was actually sitting down and then I could ask Krista for like a graphic for this, or I can ask her, like, it was good to have us in one place when we were working on like the image that we put out into the world over social media together.
Yeah, definitely. I've loved our co-working sessions and I'm so excited to continue them moving forward. Yes. So Fran, was there any feedback that stood out to you in August?
Like what kind of feedback?
Okay, so for example, some feedback that stood out to me was someone messaged us asking if our advice would be helpful to freelancers outside of the US. And then another like kind of feedback that stood out to me was noticing our website starting to be found via organic search on Google. And unfortunately, the keywords weren't listed, but it just, to me, that's like feedback that our show notes or our website copy are like being listed somewhere.
Oh yeah. Google. Cool. I get it now. So what was really exciting for me is that I think this happened a couple of times, like maybe once in the Facebook group and then once commented on Instagram post. Somebody commented on our post and was like, I'm working on building this project. Like I'm creating something, and your podcast like helps me feel like empowered and motivated and stuff, which that was huge for me, because we're sitting here and we're making these episodes, and it's really easy to kind of feel like you're doing this in a vacuum, like you're putting stuff out there, and like it's hard to remember that like there are human beings listening to your content and actually being affected by it. So actually hearing somebody saying like, I'm trying to build this project that I'm passionate about, and like your voice like motivates me and helps me. That's probably my biggest thing for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. Just knowing that like we are we are articulating things too in a way that kind of one resonates with people and helps them take action. I think that's really it's something that I really value is like making sure that yes, like we have this really motivational content, and I think you and we both come from like really interesting backgrounds. And so that's lovely because I feel like it's very important to connect with people based on your story, but then to also like be able to help people take action. Like that's an accomplishment in and of its own.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I think both of us were like, we don't want people to just listen to this podcast and be like, oh cool. Like we want it to actually like light a fire and like maybe even like get some ideas and like actually make people like help people make things happen in their life. Like that's why we do this. You know, we don't just want to like stand up here and talk. We want to like
Yeah.
feel action.
Yeah, totally. So, Fran, what was there anything you struggled with this month?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I generally this month has been a struggle for me in general. Um, let me try to think of something specific that I. Do you want to go first, actually?
I mean, for me, it's easy. Last week we had 4 episodes scheduled, and I had unreliable Wi-Fi. So we were only able to record 25% of the episodes that we meant to, which means that it's kind of being pushed this week. But I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Like today we recorded an episode, or yesterday, and you said to me like afterwards, like, oh, good thing we didn't record this other episode because the interview that we recorded today with Kat ended up being like the same topic. So yeah, it worked out in the end, but it was definitely a struggle for me because, for example, yesterday's episode, is it Tuesday in the States? Yeah, yesterday's episode, creative ways to make money in your business. I was just like, we have to record something because I want an episode out on Monday. So yeah, I'm glad that we recorded that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna steal that one because I feel like it's been tough logistically because we went from being we went to being in two opposite time zones on other sides of the world, which has been really hard to coordinate. We've had some issues with Wi-Fi. We've had to reschedule. We're supposed to be a guest on another podcast, and we've had to reschedule that interview 3 times now. So I think the biggest struggle that I think both of us have had was scheduling, and like on my end, I do all of the editing. So like I had to work this weekend to like make sure we got an episode out on Monday. But like Krista said, you kind of have to trust it because we recorded an episode yesterday and it was the same. We were saying the same thing in an interview that we were going to say with an episode with just the two of us. So we knew that we had to restructure our content calendar. We almost had like a duplicate episode situation. So I'm just trying to like trust when there's a roadblock, it's because like you're being held back for a reason. And to just kind of roll with it too. Like if something has to be canceled or moved, if you have to like edit an episode on a Saturday, like just roll with it. You know, it's the way online business works, the way life works. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. Roll with it. And so on the flip side, what are you proud of this month?
I am most proud of the vision that we have crafted this month. I think that we put a lot of time into refining this like brand core, and like a lot of the work went in last night specifically or yesterday specifically. But I feel like we've been really building up to this. Like we've just gotten more and more clear. And I'm also just proud of I'm proud of the people that we have listening to the podcast, and like the fact that we're actually connecting with them and talking to them now. I'm proud to be like one of those people now that like you go to and talk to about an online business. So yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm proud of our CEO spreadsheet, because then we'll be able to, I really am excited to look back on data and really see like, okay, like, I guess like see how our efforts and like what kind of time we're putting in, or like different things that we're experimenting with, how those shape our results. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. And Fran, last question, what are the main takeaways moving into September?
Main takeaways. I think that one of the main things that we need to continue is doing these regular co-working sessions. And yeah, I guess the main takeaway is like, I feel like this month I'm really starting to see the power of regular check-ins. Like we wouldn't be this far in our project if we hadn't started doing those CEO reports from the very beginning. So I've really like learned how you can harness like the check-ins that you're doing, like whether it's this monthly CEO report or whether it's like our weekly co-working call. Like that opportunity to recenter yourself is so huge. So that's like the main lesson that I learned this month, I think, about our project.
That's really cool. For me, and I wrote down the my main takeaway before we reevaluated our brand core. So my main intention for next month is to kind of like be more intentional with promotion. Like our promo for the money series, I feel like we're kind of like going with the flow. But I think that us reevaluating our brand core and brand messaging will help both of us like kind of like when we're creating content. Like I think I wrote one caption this month and I just like typed away. But like when we're like writing these captions or posting a story on social media, we can go like kind of like go back and ask ourselves like, okay, how does this relate to the values and the foundation that we built? And it'll just like, I don't know, I feel like it'll help us like be like more intentional, and just I'm so excited. Like I'm really excited for all of the possibilities. Like I want to like write an Instagram story right now, but I'm not going to.
What came up when you were talking was actually like how we've been kind of going with the flow for the money series. I think that we kind of came up with the money series like a week before we dove into creating it. So maybe now that we have this core and this message to kind of like pull from whenever we want, we can start planning ahead a little more with content. Because I think in the past we've been like, okay, so I feel like we have like a brain dump of ideas on Trello, and then we go in and we're like, I feel like recording this one right now. But maybe we can plan our content out of like, plan a few months out in the future, so that like when we have a big series, we can like be more intentional about how we promote it, and we can be more strategic around like how we organize our different topics, and then like pitch more interviews and stuff. So maybe that's something that we can work on during our next co-working session, which is I think right after this.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so exciting. I really like that. Yeah, like using our CEO spreadsheet to outline all of these beautiful ideas that we have. And yeah, I think that like when we think of an episode idea, we normally go with it. Say for the interviews, just depending on like who we're interviewing, and the most recent episode, which almost was like a double recording. But yeah, I think we're like pretty good at like saying something and then sticking to it. So yeah, maybe let's dive into that during our co-working session.
Yeah, let's go for it. So yeah, we're probably right about at that point where we're gonna switch over to just co-working now. Is there anything else CEO report wise that we have to cover before we hop off?
I think another thing that I would like to do during our co-working session and maybe in September is to like, I know that we have like talked about, or you talked about, I see like your notes on my email about like joining Amazon, things like Amazon affiliates. And so maybe like with this co-working session and episode brainstorm, we can also think about like, okay, how do affiliates work into this? How does maybe like creating an ebook work into this? And how, like, yeah, how can we create creative ways to bring income into our business during the week that we publish the episode? So we are practicing what we're preaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I think like we tell all of our followers, like when you're putting content and value out there, like you do deserve to like get compensated for that. And we don't want to like, I mean, we do like have a vision in the future of like doing paid offers, but we're not really quite there yet. But like, how can we like bring money into our business with like the podcast that we're doing in a way that like our listeners aren't really going to notice, like joining Amazon affiliates or like doing a like a affiliate program with Bluehost and stuff. So yeah, we have to talk more about that.
Yeah, definitely. And they're definitely affiliates that align with what we're promoting, because the reason why we were even discussing Amazon affiliates were because like books that you recommended, and like, yeah, if you're linking books on the website, why not link it as an Amazon affiliate link?
Mm-hmm.
And so awesome. This was a really fun CEO report. I'm glad we got nerdy. I think it took us 1 hour to record.
I think you're right. Yeah. Those of you who've listened to this point or watched to this point, thank you so much. And stay tuned for our next episode. We release episodes every Monday. So I don't know when this one's coming out, but yeah.
Aloha.